So this little video is going to be kind of, as you can see from the title, just about some fruity perfumes basically. Yeah, I know that it says the Garden of Eden. Let's call it the Garden of John, because who knows what was in this mystical made-up garden of paradise and such like. It's just going to have all the fruits I like in it. Yeah, so please don't write to me complaining that this couldn't possibly have grown there or whatever. But, well, nobody knows where it is for a start, and potentially you would suspect it's in the Middle East, because that's where the concept of it comes from. Anyway, let's get cracking on. So as we approach the holy bush, let's get the most obvious one out of the way first. There's literally also absolutely no proof ever that the forbidden fruit was an apple. There's nothing, it's never mentioned in that collection of stories, the Bible, and obviously that's what we kind of base all these things on. So it's not in there. Where on earth does it come from? Probably Dante rings a bell in my head, but given he was 1,000+ years later, don't know how he'd know it was an apple. Anyway, waffling on. It's not an apple fragrance, but it is the apple fragrance, if you get what I mean. And that's Lolita Lempicka's Lolita Lempicka. If apples tasted like this, my God, I'd love them. But I think we all have a brief idea of what it is. It's this anise, licorice, violet, cherry, just muskiness, heaven. It's just a dark purple apple, I suppose you'd see it as, like the old bottle used to look like. And it's just sumptuous beauty. I have smelt the older one thanks to Elizabeth Rosen-Jones. Link probably will be somewhere, but it's the dark and sumptuous, and of course we all remember this back from our day. It is almost mouth-watering. If this was the forbidden fruit, we'd all be chomping on it and what have you, wouldn't we? It's too delicious, too dark. It's got a rich, almost like liquor-like feel to it, like some really expensive kind of, the one you'd pour on your cherry, like Kirsch. It's not like Kirsch at all, but that's what came to mind. And all of these notes kind of mix together, and they're all the sweet dark fruits that we adore. It doesn't have blackcurrant in it, but you can imagine that kind of being a little bit what it's like the blackest cherry, the blackest blackcurrant ever. This probably comes from the violet and such like. So yeah, where was I? It's just a beautiful kind of dark, forbidden purple apple, if you like, with an anise kind of has this kind of, if you can imagine the snake being a black snake kind of weaving its way around you to tempt you. And I think that's a little bit like what it is. Also, you know, the kind of poisoned apple of, it's Snow White with a poison apple. It's just beautiful. So for, yeah, the forbidden fruit that nobody says is an apple anywhere is Lolita Lempicka, Lolita Lempicka. Next up, we'll get the most obvious one out of the way as well. Like, really, you can't have a fruit video and not have this in it. And I was gonna try and be, you know, a bit clever and put something different in and exciting, but why the hell not? I don't think I've ever really mentioned it in any video, but pineapple, Creed Aventus, the OG, the one every single fragrance in the world smells like now. Again, you don't need me to go through this DNA, but it does have quite a pleasant pineapple-iness there. It's like a fresh kind of, would you go fizzy? Because obviously bergamot's kind of gives it a bit more of a kind of, I'm not one for words, I'm a kind of bit more of a not stickiness, it's fresh. And then obviously we all know it, it's got the birch tar, which gives it kind of a smoky pineapple kind of feel. It's got the musks, the patchouli, allegedly ambergris and stuff, so which gives it that kind of, you know, like ambergris is a kind of nearly creamy but kind of salty muskiness. Not quite salty, but a muskiness with a bite, isn't it, really? Yeah, I'm not going to waffle on. We all know what bloody Aventus smells like. So for the pineapple one is Creed Aventus. Next up is one that I don't really mention from Kilian because it's really hard to get hold of. I've got samples, but yeah, but it's plum. And like I say, single malt from Kilian has this, it's like a whiskey, but the plum is kind of one of the main players in it. It's like a dark, juicy sweetness in there. It doesn't make it overly dark, but you know what a plum tastes like. And that plummy sweetness running through the single malt is delightful. The fragrance itself is basically what it sounds like. And if you've ever had a proper single malt whiskey, no bourbon here, then you kind of know it's along the fruitier side of whiskey. Not overly fruity, it's not quite, you know, it doesn't become brandy like or anything. And this from Kilian just kind of embodies it. One thing about Kilian we know is they do boozy scents really well, really beautifully. And plums again, I could have picked so many different ones for plum, but it's that dark sweetness. Something about something purple, isn't there, that always tastes much sweeter and darker. And that added plum in this fragrance just adds that beauty to it. So yeah, I don't need to waffle on. Single malt from Kilian for plum. Next, raspberry, and I'm going to go for, there's so many, raspberry's one of my favourite notes as we know, but I'm going to go for something I haven't mentioned in a while, because why not? And that's from Juicebox, and that's Sirens and Sailors. And that is, this is a boozy party of a fragrance. I can't remember what Claire called it, but it was something, a naughty party. And raspberry's one of the predominant notes in it, and it mixes with the rose, so it's a kind of nearly pinky raspberry. It's still a very dark one, a very dark plush pink, you know, like these pinks have words. I'm useless at words, aren't they? Whatever, it's one of them pinks, and it's mixed with all sorts of fruits. I think there might be peach in there, but it gives it this kind of very boozy kind of feel. I think there might be brandy, there might be whiskey in there as well, and it all envelops in this very kind of dark fruity fragrance. It's musky as well. It's very sensual. It's like I say, it's dark. It's a party one. It's one you want to kind of it's got to turn heads and that. It has the rose in it is quite similar, not the same as something like Intense Cafe or what the hell is it called? Roses Vinny. It's absolutely, it's not a synthetic jarring one. It's not as dark, it's not as dense and sticky as them ones. But it's that kind of same tender sweet rose, and the raspberry just gives it that oomph, that succulence that you want to bite into somebody wearing this, and that's kind of the magic of raspberry, isn't it? So for raspberry is Juicebox's Sirens and Sailors. The next kind of beautiful fruit that will be in this garden is mango. Sorry to go to a Kilian again, but it's by far the best mango fragrance I've ever tried, and that's Moonlight in Heaven. Now in Moonlight in Heaven, it mixes with a kind of drier coconut. It's not, this is not your big juicy kind of sweet headache inducing tropical kind of thing. The mango in this is, I'd say it's a green mango, but it's not quite as bitter as that. It's on the turn to going kind of orange and that, in the sense it's not overly juicy and dripping and sumptuous, but it's that kind of, it's a fresher mango, and that mixing again with all these elements of the kind of you'd expect in a Kilian fragrance, like the gorgeous musks, etc. And again, there's the kind of dry riciness running through it. It's quite a tropical fragrance, but not in your face, not sticky, not loud or anything like that. However, it is one everyone I've ever let try mine, I've kind of said, don't overspray it. You think it's not strong, you go too much in this and it will make you feel sick and choke you out. But anyway, what am I waffling on about? Mango. It's all them elements. It's fresh, it's tropical, it's vibrant. It's like a mango is. It transports you away to these tropical beaches and that. That's mango, and that's from Moonlight in Heaven, Kilian. Next up, I'm going to go for the old tropical fruit again. Has guava. Tales from Zanzibar, Memoirs of a Perfume Collector, is just about the most incredible guava fragrance I have ever smelled. In fact, the fragrance is, I don't like overusing the word masterpiece, but it's pushing there. It's pushing there. It's all these tropical fruits, but the guava smells like guava. It is guava, and there's a kind of black currantiness in there. It's not quite, it doesn't go as sweet as a Rubicon guava, which was my end of night of out kind of drink. But it's just all this kind of beautiful fruitiness. There's obviously a bit of woodiness in it, but also there's this darker side of it. It's the freshest and maybe easiest of them all. It doesn't go too crazy, but there is, to me, a little bit of a kind of smoky edge in there. You know, like a campfire on a tropical beach, suppling on guava fruits. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, in my garden, I'd definitely be growing beautiful guavas. Next we have blackcurrant, and this can be a really tricky note. This is in so many fragrances, but for blackcurrant I'm going to go for Imitation in the square bottle, the short stubby square bottle from Amouage. There's a reason I'm calling it that, and we all know why. Anyway, the star note of this one is blackcurrant. It comes in at the beginning. The beginning's a bit much. It's kind of starts off a bit on the sharp, kind of pissy kind of vibe, and then it comes in and it mixes with aldehydes, and it has this kind of fizz. It's almost like a fizzy Ribena, and this is Amouage. There's so much to it. Again, like the other one, there's incense, there's woods, there's a kind of resinousness about it, and it's kind of a bit vintage, but not quite that far. That's because that kind of pissiness, probably from the florals as well in there, and it all just gives this beautiful kind of blackcurrant, like walking through blackcurrant bushes. And again, there's the Miller Harris one. It's got this little bit of greenness, which I kind of absolutely adore with blackcurrant, because it makes you think of the real things. And I'm not going to waffle on, so for blackcurrant is Imitation from Amouage. Next is, it's not a listed note, and I don't think it's in there, and it's a weird one to pick for one of my favourite notes, but it's kind of one of my favourite fresher peachy smelling ones. That's Luna from Penhaligon's. Again, like I say, not everyone gets a peachy feel, and it's not listed, but it's like I don't like gin, but like a peach vodka, we'll say, rather than gin, although there's juniper in it. Like a nice icy thick cocktail you'd have on a sunny day, and it definitely has this watery, freshly squeezed peach. Like you're not chewing into the flesh, you're just licking the juice as it's been squeezed into your mouth. And it's, you know, a little bit sharp, sweet, and it's got all of that. It's probably from the juniper and the florals, as jasmine and what have you in there, giving it this slightly peachy feel. Again, just a beautiful fragrance. I've spoken about Luna far too much. I don't need to go into it It's just this fresh, peachy stream, if you like. Again, it all because of that juniper and that kind of gin to me is like a heavy water, like a thick water, which makes me think of the stream, like sort of by a hill, by a mountain. The water where I'm from, Buxton, is quite. It's not heavy water, obviously. You know, we're not making nuclear bombs there, but it has it's a heavier water, and it makes me think of being a kid swimming in these streams, and someone's filled it with peaches. Very refreshing, very lovely. That's for peach, is Penhaligon's Luna. And we'll wrap it up with a note that I adore in real life, but in fragrances it's a bit more of a struggle for me generally. Actually, that's not true. In a couple of fragrances I love it, and it's more of a red or pink grapefruit, depending where you're from, what you call it. But the pink red grapefruit is a little bit sweeter, isn't it? A little bit easier to take, and one of the best I've ever smelt from that is from April Aromatics, and that's called Wild Summer Fruits. Is it? I should really plan these better. Something like that. Yeah, I think no, Wild Summer Crush. And this is predominantly this red grapefruit, and it does kind of lean more on that kind of sweeter side. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's citrusy, obviously, but a kind of stickier, darker cocktail kind of citrus. It's got lots more in it. There's woods and maybe a little bit of a kind of fruity feel from the florals in there. Just magnificent. I'm not going to waffle on. That's Wild Summer Crush from April Aromatics. So yeah, the wind has picked up a little bit. Can I go on? Yes. Oh, hang on. So yeah, before the wind picks up again, this is just a quick little video. It's a bit of fun about my favourite fruity fragrances, basically. I think there can be a part 2, part 3 to this. There's that many fruits, isn't there? That many fruity fragrances. What about you then? What's your favourite fruity fragrances? What fruits would you have growing in your Garden of Eden, John, / whatever you want to call it, your Garden of Paradise? That's it really, don't need to waffle. Thanks folks, bye. And just like a little bit on the end of this video, look at the views up here. So I love walking the dog and talking and walking. Yeah, it's a bit of a dump, the northeast, but sometimes it's beautiful.